Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to COASTER-net Update. We've got some breaking news tonight out of Jackson, New Jersey, where Six Flags Great Adventure has just announced that they are putting in a brand new flat ride called Cyborg
Cyber Spin.
Cyber Spin, yes.
So we've got subtitles abound here in Six Flags announcements.
Yeah.
Here, and we're going to touch on this in a little bit. We're going to touch it. You know, you've probably already seen our video on Twisted Cyclone, which we did earlier this morning when we first woke up before the sun came up. You know, around the time the announcement was made, and then you know, this afternoon here we're touching on some of the other announcements, some of the more minor announcements, and we're talking about this one in particular. Six Flags Great Adventure, because this is one that you and I called a couple weeks ago when we sat here live on the air and we called the teaser phone number that was posted inside the park.
Yeah.
And we mentioned that the word gyroscope stuck out to us. And when we looked up gyroscope theme park ride, we came up with this cube looking thing that is in Planet Coaster known as the Cube. And we talked about how, well, that's something new, and maybe that would satisfy one of the North American firsts that we would see, because we were told that we'd be given 5. According to you and I, we think we might have a couple more than 5, but we're going to get into that in another update here. We're talking about Six Flags Great Adventure with Cyborg Cyber Spin. And indeed, it is exactly what we thought it might be. And we talked about this cube-type ride. It's basically a 3-axis rotation flat ride, and it's very tall. It's about 70 feet tall, or 7 stories is what they're calling it. And it looks really cool. We talked about this before and how cool of a ride this would be. And it's funny because I believe Great Adventure is taking out their top spin, the Twister. And this has very much a top spin feel to it, but it feels a little bit more controlled. The spins are maybe, even though the Who's top spins are choreographed, the gondola itself kind of spins freely when it gets unlocked, whereas this seems like it is completely controlled 100%. So maybe a little bit easier on maintenance there. Top spins have never had a great maintenance record, so it'll be interesting to see if you know, how the hydraulics and, you know, all the mechanical parts with this new ride hold up over time. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. But generally speaking, this looks like a very, very cool ride. And as we mentioned a few weeks ago, there is an empty spot of land kind of back where the Dark Knight is, and Batman and Justice League is kind of around the corner. And this is going in that back corner of the park where there really is nothing right now, back in the area where the Chiller roller coaster used to be. So this will be really, really nice to have a signature attraction, or an addition at least, going in this part of the park. And it's got one damn cool logo too.
Yeah, I think the real highlight of this ride is the logo with Cyborg. You know, we even nailed what the name of this was going to be. We said it was going to be a cyborg
theme because it kind of had that futuristic look to it.
You know, it's kind of weird because, you know, they started trying to throw us off the track towards the end there with some Snapchat stuff saying that they were seeing red. We saw it down at Over Texas, who also got one of these, also kind of hinting at Flash maybe being the theme. I didn't think this ride type would fit the Flash, which is why I never really, you know, I was really dead set on this probably being the ride type. And so when they were saying Flash, this doesn't fit Flash. It fits Cyborg. I don't know how much it fits Harley Quinn, but
it's got that futuristic, mechanical, robotic type of feel to it. You know, that weird, you know, it's like that weird gadget that you see, you know, in a tool shop or something that you don't really know what it is, and you don't know what it does, but it looks really cool. That's kind of what this ride is.
So I think the logo here is a big win for the park. You know, for all the reasons that we said before. We're not quite sure who the manufacturer is. We know that the one that's on Facebook is manufactured by ABC Rides, called the model name is like Tourbillon or something like that.
Yeah, Tourbillon.
It's on a traveling fair circuit over in Europe and Asia. But we don't know for sure if it's gonna. It looks like that one, kind of, but we're not positive. That we don't really know who the manufacturer of this is. So, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, is this really a world's first if there's already one traveling in in Asia? But if it's not ABC Rides who's making it, and it's another company, then absolutely it would be a world's first. I'm not
especially since, you know, we have the free spinning Intamin coasters like Green Lantern First Flight, and yet when they built Batman the Ride, the SNS/RMC free fly at Six Flags Fiesta Texas a few years back, that was a world's first because it was by a different manufacturer. So by that logic, if it's not ABC Rides, then it would indeed be a world's first.
Yeah. So now a little bit on the Harley Quinn ride down at Over Texas.
Hey, Andy, I'm at Six Flags Over Texas next year. I would like to go ride Harley Quinn Spin Sanity. Can you point me in that direction? It's either that way or that way.
Yeah, like seriously, like if you're in the middle of Gotham City, if you go right, you'll hit a Harley Quinn Spin Sanity. If you go left, you'll hit a Harley Quinn.
No, okay. I can't remember ever having something like this. Now, we've talked about it recently with Six Flags Over Georgia, how they have the Joker Chaos Coaster, the Larson Loop, and then they also have the Joker Funhouse Coaster, which is the Kitty Coaster. But this ride is actually the exact same name as a ride not only that currently exists, it's not like it's an old ride. Yeah. It's the same exact name as a ride they just put in a couple of years ago. Remember the flat ride package they got where it was Catwoman Whip, which is the new
Endeavor.
UFO. Yeah, right. And then Riddler Revenge, which is the Zamperla Giant Discovery. And now Harley Quinn Spin Sanity, which was also the Tilt-A-Whirl that went in with that package. And we have another Harley Quinn Sanity now that is this whatever they're going to call this new ride. Here ride is Great Adventure, but the different name, but the same name as presumably a ride that's right next to it.
Well, here's the confusing part, because you got the Harley Quinn Spin Sanity at Over Georgia, which is the Tilt-A-Whirl.
Right.
Spin Sanity at Over Texas is actually a Troika. So
it's a Troika? It's a Tilt-A-Whirl at Over Georgia. Okay, so it's a Troika at Over Texas. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. So it's a Troika at Over Texas.
Are you sure? Is it really?
Absolutely, yeah. I was looking at pictures today. So
okay. Weird.
So, you know,
and the Harley Quinn Spin Sanity going into Six Flags New England, as we're going to talk about on a different show this year, is the Zamperla Giant Discovery.
And so you got a lot of Spin Sanities. Plus, you have just the regular Spin Sanities. Like there's a Spin Sanity, I think, at St. Louis.
St. Louis is
disco.
That's their Zamperla Disco.
Yeah,
they put in last year, I think, but that doesn't have the Harley Quinn branding to it. And then Great Adventure has a Harley Quinn Crazy Train.
Yeah.
And then as we'll talk about later, Discovery Kingdom is getting a Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster. So we're going really nutso with the Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman this year in particular. Yeah. We're going a lot with the female characters this year, it seems.
So you know, I've heard that maybe they're moving the Troika to a different part of the park. That was one rumor.
Well, they have to do something, right? They can't
have the same ride.
You can't have two rides with the exact same name next to. I mean, if you want to rename one, it would seem awfully silly to rename the Troika that you just put in 2-3 years ago, unless you move it somewhere.
The other problem is that Over Texas, it's not Justice League, so this area of the park is Gotham. So everything is Batman themed. That's why you have the Riddler and Catwoman and Joker.
So you can't do Cyborg?
You can't do Cyborg in Gotham. It doesn't make sense. You lose the theme in one of the few areas of any Six Flags that actually carries a theme through its finality.
It's Gotham by itself.
It has to be Gotham. And so the question is, what do you do there? Do you rename? You could rename the Troika like Robin if you leave it there. You could make it a Robin Troika. You'd have to repaint the whole thing.
But it makes no sense because you just put in the Troika. Like, why wouldn't you just come up with a?
I don't know. I don't know.
I do. Like, what other Batman characters are there that they haven't used up at that park yet?
Well, the problem is I don't know what characters are actually licensed for. So if you think of the whole Six Flags chain, the only other ride there's only other two characters that they've used in other parks. Penguin, which they used for Blizzard River. They used to use Two-Face for the flip side with the old, inverted boomerang. And really outside of that, there's not a whole lot of really licensed that we've seen ride names for. Oh, Mr. Freeze too, obviously, but there's already a Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, but they could call it Mr. Freeze, ice cream cone twist or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they could.
I don't know what you're gonna call it.
Because they also have like a Batwing ride already there that's themed to like the Batmobile.
As we mentioned, we've seen two rides, at multiple parks with the same theme. It's not, we've seen multiple Supermans at one park. We've seen multiple Batman coasters at one ride. So
I think it'll be more interesting. Besides the Cyborg thing being really awesome,
call it Joker's Jinx and be done with it.
Call it Joker's Jinx, like do a little mini Joker.
Green and purple.
So I don't know what they're going to do. It'll be interesting to find out. Apparently, Six Flags has a lot of things to name, as we'll talk about on a future show. so naming is going to be, I guess, at the next board meeting is naming different rides.
We need to get some better names out of these meetings. This is really, really cool. Now the Cyborg Cyber Spin, I'm completely on board with that. I love the name. I love the logo. And if they're putting it in that part of the park, so I think that's a really good. I think that's a really good choice there. But Harley Quinn Spinsanity would be good if they didn't have her. I think that would be just fine if they didn't already have a ride with that name. But it's certainly a curious decision. I'm excited to hear the justification of this one, or to see what the outcome is.
So, as always, thanks for joining us here on COASTER-net Update. We've got a whole bunch of other updates coming your way, for the rest of these Six Flags announcements. So, of course, I am Andy Robarczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And Danny Miller, Binghamton, New York.
Feel free to leave your apologies down below. Right on, right, Warriors.
The apology line starts here. We were right. down there. Apologize down there. See you guys.